mother told me right away that if I couldn't love my baby, it would be best for me to keep it in the maternity hospital. I wish I had listened to my mother. My name is Katerina. When I was 32 years old, I got pregnant by the man I loved. I loved Igor very much and I wanted a child with him very much. The pregnancy was very desirable. Igor and I had been living together for 4 years. I was so hopeful that we would get married soon. When I told Igor about my pregnancy, he told me, "I don't want you or your baby. Whatever you want to do, do it." My world just collapsed when I read this message from my most beloved man. I had no livelihood. Igor left, taking all our money for himself. And then the baby was due soon. I didn't want that child. I just hated it. I wanted an abortion, but my mother talked me out of it. She said, "Don't do it. It's a terrible sin. You might not have children afterwards. Keep the baby, maybe you'll love it later. And if you realize you don't need it, you can leave it at the maternity hospital." I thought about it, and I agreed. I decided that I would write a waiver at the maternity hospital when I had my baby. 8 months passed. The pregnancy went well. I gave birth to a boy. I wanted to give him up, so I asked the doctors not to show me my baby. But the nurse brought me my son anyway and left him with me in the room. I looked at the baby. He was small, red, tiny, and completely defenseless. I cried and my hatred vanished in an instant. When the baby woke up, I took him in my arms. I couldn't leave my baby in the maternity ward. The nurse must have brought the baby to my room on purpose to awaken my maternal feelings. I didn't write a disclaimer. My mother was very happy that she had a grandchild, that I hadn't given up on the baby. But I soon realized that I would have been better off with an abortion. But there was no going back. Igor and I used to rent an apartment. Now I could not rent an apartment. I had to go back to live with my mother. My son Sasha and I lived in a small room. Only a sofa and my son's crib could fit in there. Sasha was very restless and cried a lot. Mother constantly complained that she had a very bad headache. There was a catastrophic lack of money. When my son was 6 months old, I was forced to leave him with his mother and go to work. I was even glad about that, because I realized that I didn't love my son. I was just doing my job, but I didn't feel anything. When my son started growing up, we had a lot of problems. He was becoming more and more like his father. He was hot-tempered, aggressive, he fought with children in kindergarten and hurt them a lot. He behaved badly with adults. We often went to psychologists and psychiatrists. They advised me to communicate more with my son, to explain everything to him. Yes, I did all this, but nothing helped. Probably he felt that I didn't love him, and that's why he behaved that way. But Sasha and my mother had a wonderful relationship. She raised Sasha while I was at work. The constant quarrels with my son really wore me out. I realized that it would have been better if I had given up my son in the maternity hospital, or had an abortion even earlier. My son Sasha is 11 years old now. Our relationship got even worse. My mother passed away a year ago and since then our life has been a living hell. Sasha is always snapping at me, he doesn't listen to me. We fight and quarrel every day. I can see that my son feels very bad that his grandmother is gone. I don't love my son and I wish I hadn't had him at all or had left him in the maternity hospital. It's so awful. Feeling like you don't love your own child.